What's up, everyone? Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and this is Dog Behavior Q&A, show episode 98. We are two away from 100. 100 episodes. I'm gonna mute this. Let me mute my TV for a second. There we go. Yeah, we're two away from 100 episodes of Dog Training Q&A. It's a great show. Why? Because people get to hear things, common problems, frequently asked questions, and you get to talk to a dog trainer that has quite a bit of experience, give you some good pointers. I'm going to give you, again, maybe a couple ways to deal with every problem. There is a short-term way and there is a long-term way when it comes to any issue. And I want to give you both. The long-term way is the easier way on the dog. The short-term way is harder on the dog, but easier for you. That's just how it is. Long-term way, easier on the dog, harder for you. It's just how it is. So each and every question and issue that we discuss, let's try and see if I can give you both ways how to deal with the problem. Okay, because again, some people don't have time. With certain issues, some people need to stop the behavior yesterday. And with some issues not being as severe, they can take their time with those issues. So I'll try and give you both of them. But if you don't know me, if it's the first time watching, we are... I would say more so a behaviorist before we are a dog training company. Cheers, Amy. We mostly work with, I don't even want to say specialize, because it's not like this the only thing that I work with, but we work with more frequently than not dogs who are nervous, insecure, aggressive, super bratty, separation anxiety. Those are the biggest issues that we work with, and we usually, most of the time, want to have those dogs come stay with us. Why do we want them to come stay with us? Well, when we find out that the closest comparison to the scenario, which is why we sort of label our training as rehabilitation, is because it's sort of like addiction rehab. We find that we have the best success and we optimize the learning opportunities if the dog comes and stays with us. They're away from their environment, which their environment usually is full of triggers, which keeps them in such a reactive state. They're not allowed to use their brain. They're not allowed, but they don't have the opportunity to use their brain and work past and learn how to control their impulses and work past some of the problems that they have, because they're such in a reactive state. What do I mean by a reactive state of mind? Well, the doorbell means bark. You coming through the door means jumping, excited, happy to see you. You opening the door means them going through the door and you having no control over it. You jumping in the car or being in the car means anxiety. Being on leash means insecurity. All those things are behavior that is obsessive and or out of their control. And so the more of those behaviors that are obsessive, the harder it is to ever get the dog to learn, because it's impossible to reach the dog, because they're just so used to the same things, meaning the same things, and there's not enough there's not enough strong boundaries to help them reconsider anything. And so that's what we're good at. We're good at helping the dog realize that, yeah, the boundaries that you have, halfway listened to, you have got to listen to. There's no way out. You can try and bark, you can try and throw a fit, you can try and bite, but at the end of the day, exhaust all of your attempts to not listen. And you will find that you have to listen, and then and as a result of you having to listen, you will find that your behavior is not necessary. All right, so those of you who are on YouTube and Facebook, if you have any questions at any time, happy Thanksgiving to Kim and Dozer. Glad to see you guys watching. Those of you who are live, feel free to ask your questions. You guys are the priority since you guys took the time to watch me live. I appreciate you guys. Okay? Because there's probably a million other things you could be doing. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. So you guys have the priority, and you guys also can ask as many questions as you like. Let's keep this conversation rolling because live conversation is much better. I've got a few questions to answer on other social media outlets. So I will be answering those, but only after my peeps who decide to watch me live are done with their questions. All right, we got our first question live. Let's get to it. Okay, let me refresh this page here. Let's see. All right. Okay, this question goes to Janelle. We have a rescue dog that was a stray. He is great and loving in the house. Likes to play and cuddle. Once outside, he is very scared of people, even the people he was playing with in the house. Even if you leash him while outside, he is frantically trying to get away from you. How do you start building his confidence outside? All right, Janelle. Let's see. Don't know if I can give you an easy way, but I can give you the hard way. And the hard way is to make him listen inside, despite him being good. We really have to define what's good inside. Good to me doesn't mean he's not acting like he is outside inside. Good doesn't mean he's not biting. How does he listen to you inside? Does he listen good? Because if he's not, that's the first thing that has to happen. These dogs have to listen good to you when things are very easy. If they listen very well when things are very easy, then it's going to make it much easier to listen to you when things get tough. But if the only time you ask him to have a high level of obedience is when things are around that stress him out, or he's in the environment that stresses him out, good luck trying to reach him. The goal is to reach him. And you can build that confidence in him by getting him to listen. He's got to listen to you when things are cool, calm, and collected. Okay, so giving him things to do so that's the easy way. We got another one. He will sit and stay and starting to work on he has only been here for 4 days, so we were oh my Lord, 4 days. Yeah, don't expect much. That's way too soon to expect things. But again, get a good walk right. Get a good structured walk. Get a good structured walk, which will help him behave better on leash. If you're teaching him how to be on leash with you, you have to gain his trust. You have to gain his trust in order for him to be open to accepting new things. So the outside must be new things. Now here's the deal: when it comes to new dogs, people think that just letting the dog run around the house off leash is how to get the dog used to the new environment. But it's the opposite. I mean, you don't want to just you want the more boundaries the better. The more structure the better. The more structure, the the amount of trust that can be built quickest, and the amount of respect, as opposed to trying to be friendly with the dog. Friendliness should be the third priority. First one should be respect, because it guarantees that you and your family will be safe. Second thing should be trust, which will help the dog understand that it can lean on you, and you be the dog's sort of advocate, as opposed to the dog advocating for itself. So trust, second most important. And then once things are understood, and leave time, weeks for this, then friendship can start to be more prevalent. But you have to take in consideration the age of the dog, the maturity level of the dog, before you give a lot of friendship, because everyone gives friendship as default. It's our natural. We want to pet the dog. We want to give the dog treats. We want the dog to have all the freedom that it wants. Maybe it's because we feel guilty that the dog has come from some horrible place, but all that secondary to the priorities of keeping you and your family safe, and then gaining trust. So respect is going to create the trust. The trust is going to ensure that he's not handling situations himself. He's looking to you as the leader, the parent, sort of that deal. So get the dog walking. Learn how to get the dog to walk on leash right. That would be the first thing I would do with any dog that I don't know. First thing, we're going to take a nice structured walk, and it's going to be as structured as possible. It's not going to be super, it's not going to be some sort of tyrannical, you must do this, no. I'm going to slowly introduce what I expect. It's not going to be right away. And if you don't get it right away, that's fine. We'll work to that. Can't be rushed. So, but the structured walk is going to be a very good thing, because you always, at any time, want to work towards off leash. And how you get there is good on leash. So that on leash walking is very important. So that was a long-winded explanation about that question. So I hope I answered it. Yep, not expecting a lot. Just want to make sure we are doing this the right way and teaching him the right way. So I'm gonna post. I have a YouTube video that explains the structured walk, and I will post that so that you can watch that video and maybe get some things from it. All right. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Okay. All right. Another question live. Wait a minute. All right. This question is for Kristen. Hey, Jeremy, our new pup does this playful nip when he's excited and wants to play. I come home from work, and if I turn my back to him, I get a nip on the ass. It's not a mean nip, just excitable. I say no, but anything else I can do? If no doesn't work, then you do have to do something else. You have to give him something he doesn't like. That's the best way, the most reliable way. Turning your back is not, a lot of trainers and people will tell you to turn your back. It doesn't do much, if at all. First, I'd be willing to say it just doesn't do anything. You go walk in, you want a dog to stop jumping on you, and people say, turn your back. Well, you're just probably giving more of an opportunity for them to jump on you without any consequence. Okay, so yeah, when it comes to nipping, though, I would say how I would handle it is you have to, in some way, give the dog something it doesn't like. When it decides to do something that you don't like, okay, so you can start with if your no doesn't work, you can start with a squirt bottle. You can then go to a pet convincer. You can then go to what I would do right away without any tools. I would do what the mother would do, which would be correct the dog with her mouth, not your mouth, but the mother dog would correct the dog with their mouth, biting a little bit more firm than the dog's bite to get the dog to understand respect. And so what I usually do is I'll grab the bottom jaw and I'll just hold it. Not too hard, but hard enough until the dog starts to do this. Starts to come back and tries to get away from it. And then if the dog comes back at you, you do the same thing. You repeat. And no matter how long it takes, you stay consistent, more stubborn than the dog's attempt to get what it wants. The dog wants to get what it wants. And it now is disrespecting you to do so. It's biting you. You want to stop that right away. I mean, that's not good. Even if it's playful, it's not good. So I would give the dog something it doesn't really like that's not pleasant, so the dog rethinks its actions. And then here's the other thing. After you correct the dog, you should not say hi or be pleasant or say good boy to the dog. Because dogs can teach other dogs very, very easily, very well, and very clearly. And they don't give treats and they don't say good boy, good girl. We do that way too quickly. We are totally underestimating their intelligence. And so I really want you to leave time for the dog to use its brain before you actually interact with the dog. Never interact with the dog when you walk in the house, no matter if it's nipping or not. If it's excited, if it's doing something you don't want, which you should add to the list, being hyper. If you pet the dog that's hyper, you're going to reinforce the dog being hyper. And so you will have to work on getting the dog to understand that calm behavior gets you what you want, and definitely not nipping behavior doesn't. But even just being excited doesn't get you what you want. You're just reinforcing it if you say hi to them. All right? Give that a shot. Feel free to ask another question. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay. All right. This question is for Chris. Oh my, it's a wild child. It is wild child again. The barking is not changing with her behavior. Outside of doggy correction devices, is there anything else we can try? Sometimes with a diversion, she will growl and show her teeth or just go after the smaller dog. Thank you very much. Yeah, my other suggestion would be to seek professional help. If those devices and these strategies aren't really working, you're going to need professional help. Okay. Sometimes the suggestions that we provide, they work for people. But if you've got a super stubborn dog, or a dog who is, just super stubborn, or, caught, or I would even say, a slave to their reactivity, then you may need professional help. Some things dog owners cannot do on their own, and they will need a third party to come in and try a few different things. So that would be my suggestion. Don't want your smaller dog getting hurt anymore, but you may need help gaining control over the dog that decides to attack. All right? Hope that helps. Okay. Where did I put that? There we are. All right, the only habit I have not been able to break with my GSD is her obsession with food. She is constantly obsessing about her feeding times, morning and night. She will not settle and will not stop pestering and being overexcited until she's fed. She used to be drooling and shaking when I would make her sit and wait. She's gotten better with that. She has to go to her pillow, sit and stay until I say okay. Problem is, when I come home, she assumes it's time to be fed. Even if it's the afternoon, begins the crazy running around and pestering, and she refuses to settle even if I wait a couple of hours. I can't get her to relax or be completely calm before letting her eat. She is very smart and very stubborn. So I would say stop feeding her at the same time every day. Uh, I've got two very food hound dogs, and I do work hard on getting them to sort of be indifferent to feeding time, but it's tough. What I expect from my dogs is to just lay down, and that's it. You know, I don't want you to whine. I don't want you to bark. I don't want you. I try not to get them to even stare, but that's asking a lot. I feed my dogs once a day, and I feed them obviously the right amount, more than, So say, it's like 3.5 cups a day, once a day. And then I just trained a dog who was pretty food, excited about food. And if they don't listen to me after about 3 attempts, then I'll go ahead and not feed them until I come back or until they're very calm. And that means I'll just put the food back up, or I'll set the food, on top of their crate or somewhere obviously where they can't get it, and just forget about it. But one thing that I would do when you come home in the afternoon is right away just put her on her pillow. And if the only time you're putting her on her pillow is feeding time, then she will start to build the association that pillow time means feeding time. You want to try and avoid that. Put her on her pillow more times than not just feeding time. Okay, so I'm just going through a checklist, not saying you don't or do any of these things, but maybe I can give you something that you can try. But I would definitely, when you come home in the afternoon, put her on her pillow, no matter if she was food aggressive or food adamant about food or not. I'd go ahead. If she was just high energy, I would put the dog on the pillow. Okay? But again, one thing that I do with food obsessive dogs is I will leave the food out. They are not going to get fed until they, are on their pillow and their head is, their chin is on the pillow and just relaxing. Okay. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one, or if you've tried all those things, let me know. All right. Next question. Okay. I have a 2-year-old. This question is for Aaron. I have I have 2 old English bulldogs that are aggressive greeters and go crazy when the doorbell rings. How do you suggest we correct this behavior? Okay, very common question. Thank you for your question. So, what I would do is start creating one, um, and has nothing to do with the door. Let's start making it easy for the dogs to be able to handle this without the doorbell. First things first, work one dog at a time. Two dogs are three times the work. So don't expect, I mean, you can, but to make it easy on you, work one dog at a time. If you've got to put one dog in another room, do so. But basically, you have to get the dog to go to a bed or place or somewhere where it lays down and it has to go there. Let that be ingrained in the dog. When it's just you, and the doorbell's not involved. Get that, master that skill. Put the dog on the bed. Say, go lay down, or on your bed, and the dog goes and does that. I mean, like every day. That's what you want. If the dog has a place in the house that it had to have gone to, and it starts to build that sort of safe space, then the dog will go there when things start to become insecure, like the doorbell. Okay, so now you've mastered the place command, which is going to take some work. And I will reply to your message with that YouTube video on how you can get started with that. But, okay, so now you've got the place command down. Now I want you to make sure when you come home that you're not saying hi to the dog going through the door. Most people come through the door and the dogs are acting crazy and you say hi to them. It's not aggressive, so you say hi to them. But what's that? That's teaching the dog that door means high energy, and then there's a fine line between high energy and aggression. So there's no aggression without high energy, and so when you walk through your door and it's just you or whoever comes in the house, they should not give the dog what it wants. I'm not going to say they should not say hi to the dog. I'm not going to say ignore the dog, because ignoring the dog at this point is just not going to work. I mean, it can, but it's going to take a lot of patience, which most people it's not going to do. It's not realistic. Especially if there's two dogs, because they feed off each other. So when you come through the house, or when you open that door, you give the dog something to do. Go lay down on your bed. I don't want this energy. Go lay down on your bed. That's the first step. Second step. That's the second step on getting your dog to condition the dog that the door doesn't mean high energy, and it dang sure doesn't mean aggression. Okay, so that's the second step. Third step is to practice. Give the dog the real life scenarios. So have, another person walk, or that the dog knows, that the dog feels safe with. Ring the doorbell. Come on in. Hey, how are you? Make the same things that your guest would do. This, that, and the other, and they stay on their bed. They have to. Make that very clear to them. That's, again, after those first two steps, though. Then you will start to see that the dogs lose that reactive, impulsive trigger. Door means I go run to the door and act like a fool. You want to combat that with those 3 steps. All right? Hope that helps. Thank you for your question. Once again, guys, you guys who are watching live, if you have any questions, you guys are the priority. I'm sort of reading questions from my Facebook inbox. And so you guys are the priority. Let's keep the conversation going. And otherwise I'll continue. All right. This question is for Anna. Hello, friend. Hi, Anna. How are you? I used to work with Anna a long, long time ago. All right. I have a 2-year-old Havanese, and where's Princess? How's Princess doing? I have a 2-year-old Havanese who is very shy around people. What can I do to help him come out of his shell? Okay, so I've been talking about this a lot. How do you get a dog that's not social with outsiders to be more social? He's fine with people. He's fine with people he knows, but outsiders or strangers, the dog's not into. You want to evaluate how much loving, how much attention, affection that the dog is getting inside of the home when it's very comfortable for the dog. How's life for the dog inside the home? Is it just all peaches and cream, or are you, showing any sign, any sort of tough love to the dog? Because this is how you're going to get the dog to be open to strangers. It's just like eating. Obviously, if you're full, you shouldn't eat after you're full. You're less likely to eat when you're full. Okay, think about that in parallel with praise. If the dog is getting way too much praise and affection and it's full, it's going to be much less likely to want to receive it from strangers. Same thing happens with children. But you want to evaluate that. How much freedom, how easy does the dog have it inside the home? Do you ever get annoyed with the dog and just say, all right, go on somewhere. Enough. Or does the dog bark when it wants, gets up on the couch when it wants, lays in the bed when it wants, goes outside when it wants, gets treats when it wants, gets your attention anytime it wants? You want to evaluate that. Okay, I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm just saying those things should be kept in moderation if you want your dog to be open to receiving it from strangers. Give the dog the thing that it wants the most and the thing that it values the most. Let the dog start working for it. Just don't give it. Just don't give it away. You got to earn it. If I didn't have to buy food, then I'd be rich. Disregard that last comment. But yeah, once again, to get him out of his shell, you got to kind of create independence from him. If he's too dependent of you and your love and emotions and all that good stuff, then he's going to be a lot less likely to open up to the world. Okay, so create the world inside your home. Don't let your home be something foreign or something totally different to the outside world, because the outside world is inevitable. So you want to duplicate what you create, the dynamics of the relationship between you and your dog inside the home that they are going to face in the real world. The real world is cold. The real world can be brutal. You want to be able to prepare your dog for those things. There are going to be dogs that are just going to be barking and being mean and wanting to come up. There's going to be people who want to touch and be very obtrusive. There's going to be off-leash dogs that may come up and create a horrible situation for your dog. So anyway, evaluate how much the dog gets, how much freedom the dog has inside the house. All right. Thanks for your question. Okay. I have a 3-year-old shepherd. As I'm crate training her, how many times a day should I be having her go to the crate? How long each time? Should I stay within her sight? When should I leave her alone for the first time? Okay. Let's answer the first one first. How many times a day should I be having her go to the crate? Let's say at least twice a day. How about feeding her in the crate? You feed her twice a day, feed her in the crate. Let her calm down. That'd be good. And then, how long each time? Until she is quiet. Until you don't hear the dog. And then you should be able to leave her alone now. Walk out of the room. Feed the dog in the crate. Shut the crate. If you really want to, expedite the situation, just give the dog some exercise before you're doing all this. So exercise, put the dog in the crate, feed the dog in the crate, and just walk away. And you shouldn't hear the dog for another, good 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. The dog's 3 years old, so it's not like it's a puppy that has to come out more often than not. So that's what I would do. All right. Thanks for your question. Okie dokie. Let's see if I've got any more live here. Nope, I think we're good. Okay, guys. I think we'll answer one more question. If you guys, ask a question live now, if you're on the edge of asking, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, we're going to answer a question that we've got. All right, here we go. Do all dogs need to be crated? What's your policy on when they're ready to be let free to roam around the house? Do all dogs need to be crated? I think all dogs need to be crate trained. I think it's important to have them crate trained. Why? Because somewhere along their life, if you're traveling and you gotta kennel them, or if there's an emergency situation and you have to go, put them in a boarding situation, they need to be able to be comfortable. You don't want that to be the first time they're being in a crate, because it'll be super stressful for you, super stressful for the dog. And so I do think every dog should be able to be comfortable inside a crate. And what's your policy on when they're ready to be let free to roam around? I would say when the crate behavior has what I want out of the behavior of the dog inside the crate is very good, which means the dog doesn't bark, whine, scratch, or anything for that manner to get out of the crate, or when people come over, or obviously if the dog is peeing and pooping in the house, then you want to work through that as well. Those would be the things that I would check off before I let the dog free roam in the house. The other thing is, if the dogs chews on things inside the crate, then chances are the dog may chew things inside the house. Not always, because the dog just could be, anxiety driven in the crate. But I would like a complete, calm, and cool, collected dog inside the crate before I let the dog free roam. So that's the criteria. All right. All right, guys, I've talked too much now. I'm going to let you guys go, but I'll be here next Wednesday. Please give me a thumbs up. Like this video if you haven't. Please subscribe to our channel if it helped you out at all. And comment below on what you thought. If I was totally off kilt on some of the things that I was talking about, let me know. All right? Because our responsibility is to put our knowledge and conversation out there so that we can make this dog world a better place. All right, guys. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, no matter what it is, what kind of turkey you're cooking. Enjoy your time with your family. All right. See you next week.